library. The package is tidyverse. Let's see, it's taking some time. Now, tidyverse is an assortment or a collection of a number of packages, which you can see here on this side of your R. You can see there's a package ggplot2, the one we installed the other time. You have a table. Table is a modern form of a data frame, the structure of a data frame. You have tidyr, that's a package. Readr, the one we had downloaded. We had about this tidyverse. It's a collection or assortment of some packages. These are different packages that are in the tidyverse library. Now let's, I think now we can do what? We can, let's import our data into R. We said to go there, import data set. You can change the name of the data set here. Let's call it DF. If you, let's do something more here. If you look here, this data of ours, it has the name of the variable we are talking about, and also below it there is a drop down that has guess, character, double. This shows the type of the type of data it is. It can be numeric, it can be categorical, it can be any form. We'll talk about the data types. But in this case, I want us to make this station to be a factor. We must have a factor. So, and this factor, we have, in station, we have 4 stations. First station, second station, third station, and the fourth station. We had 4 stations. Okay, so so I've changed this station to be a factor. It's a type of a data factor is, I don't know, I will explain to you later, you'll get it. Also the month here, I want the months to be factors. I want them to be able to be a factor. Next time we'll talk about types of the data types. You have numerical data, I have categorical data and numerical data. In numerical data, we have integers, which you know are whole positive or negative numbers, and double numbers that have decimal points and such and like things. Then in categorical data, we have factors, we have characters, and all those things. We'll talk about them. So I want us to convert the months into factors. This is how you convert this thing. One way of converting, we want to convert our months into factors, and we had the month from May. We had May, June, July, August, September, finally October. Okay. So as you can see, our code is changing here. What you're doing is that it is just formatting the data before we put it into R. Okay, so we say you don't import, just come here and say copy. Copy here, we have a clipboard copy. Then let's cancel that. You come here and you paste it. Then you run it. That read R and our DF.
Please, Dan.
Yes, yes.
Please, can you try it again the way you are doing with the month?
Or with the month, okay.
Factor.
So come back here to your data, import data. We started with, now we go to here to month. Here, the months that are here, you must know your data. Our months that are here are from May to October. And therefore, I want to convert them to factors. When I come here to this one, there is this option of factors. I want to make them factors, a factor. So the first month, my month there is, it was from May. You separate them with a comma, May, June, July, August, September, and October. Then you say, okay. So we have converted our station into factors, station 1, 2, 3, and 4. and our months from the month of May to the month of October. Then come here and clipboard copy here, cancel, go to your R and R source, and then you paste it there, then you run it, and then you can view your data. So we have just formatted our data a little bit. It might not show any changes. Now today I want to show you, I've been busy, I just want to show you something very little. Now this data, if you look at it, it's called wide data. It is wide, it is very wide. You can see from station, then you have every variable on its own. But now Excel might work well with this one, but R works in form of data called a format of data called the long data. This is wide. You want to make it long but narrower. Now to do that, we have verbs that we use in R, and these verbs are one is called gathering, and another is called spreading the data. Now this data is a spread data. This is spread data, data that is spread from station all the way to the rotifers, to the species over the other side. Now I want this data in form of long data but short. I want to put some things together so that we can be able to visualize them well. Now this gathering and spreading are a little bit older, and therefore we use some new terms, some new verbs. In gathering, it is called pivot, pivoting longer. And when you want to spread, you want to pivot it wider. Okay. Every time you want to write something, maybe a description, before it, you write the hash sign or symbol. When you write the hash symbol or the tag before the description, it changes it to adjust a description. So that is something that you cannot run it. So R recognizes that this is not a code, is not a function that you want to run, but just a description of what you want to do. So get this, that hash just says, the hashtag sign just means that this is a description. This is just something that I want to do, just what I want to do below here. Now, I want us to pivot longer. I want to make this data longer instead of as wide as it is. And what you want to do, I want to select from the transparency column all the way to the last column. I want them to put them together and their data so that I can have only two columns, one for the parameters and another for the data, so that I'll have now condensed that data, or have narrowed that data, or pivoted that data to a longer format. Now, let's do that. Just write pivot or pivot longer. I told you the moment you write a function or a code, it gives you it gives you a description of what you ought to do with that code. So number one, the first thing that we take the data. The data that we want to pivot longer is the DF data. It's the DF data. This is our data. Second thing, the columns. The columns that we want to condense from. So this is the first, second, third, fourth, fifth. This is a column number 5, and we have 20 columns. We have a total of 20 columns. Therefore, from the 5th column, we want to condense the data from the 5th column all the way to the 20th column. So you say column from column 5, you put colons. That means to the 20th, column. Not 20th, but 20, is it 20th? How many columns do we have in total? We have 20, yeah, 20 columns up to the 20th column, comma. Now, another thing, what do you want your column of parameters of the names, the column of these names, the column of transparency, depth, temperature, conductivity to be called here. Let's say, let's call it parameters. So we say names, I want to condense the names to, gives you, you see it gives you names to. This name you want because something you're creating, put it into quotation marks. Let's call them parameters. Parameters. Okay, now a comma, and then what do you want your values to be? Values. Values to, see, values to, and then put it in quotation marks. What do you want it to be? Let's call it measurement. Measurement. Just that code, and then just run it. See what data F1, we have created another set of format or set of data. Now let's view the DF1. DF1, see how it looks like, see what has changed. You can see now our data has been converted from this format of long data, all this long this way, to this format of longer data, but narrower. So we have temperature or parameters here, temperature, transparency, and arranges it very well. So there will be no problems. So transparency for May, it is given there, and everything is, so that's how you pivot longer. You've brought the parameters together and the measurements together. Now, let's do the opposite now. Let's do the opposite of what you've done here. Let's go back to our code. Let's call this DF2. Let's call it DF2. Let's form another set of data, DF2. And say this time round, we want to pivot wider. So we start with our data. Our data is equals to the DF, comma. Now, we want our, in this case, we said names to. Now we want names from. Where do we get our names from? Names from, and in this case, you don't have to put it into brackets because that name is there. And the name that we put there was parameters. From, names from parameters, comma, and values. Where do we get the values? Values from, we said the values are measurement. So let's run that code. Oh, there's a
Dan.
Yes.
Before you run, you haven't put the quotation marks
In parameters.
Parameters and measurements.
Let me see. Oh, sorry.
The quotation marks in parameters and measurements.
Okay, what I was saying is, when you're pivoting wider, you don't have to put the quotation marks because this word parameters is there. So every time you are writing a factor or a name that is not there, you are creating it afresh. That's when you put the quotation marks. But in this case, we won't put the quotation marks because this name parameters is there, okay? And the measurement is there. So we don't put it into quotation marks. So I had made a mistake here. Instead of saying we want to, this is the DF1 that we were pivoting wider because we pivoted it longer. Then let's run it. Let's view our DF2. You see, it is back to its normal way. Okay, are we together? So that is pivoting longer and pivoting wider.